news update coming in, and this is with regards to the first reaction coming in from the Ministry of External Affairs that's reacted to the BBC documentary. The first response from the MEA on the BBC documentary is now out in the open. Remember, it is the British film on Prime Minister Modi that has been called out, and now the MEA also coming out with a reaction saying that this has not been screened as yet, calling it a propaganda, a discredit mindset. So that's the MEA raising concerns with regards to the intention here as far as this BBC documentary is concerned, calling it a propaganda and discredit mindset. I have our executive editor Padmaja Joshi joining us with more details on the response coming in from the MEA.
That is correct. Let's just put this in context for our viewers. On the 17th of January, the first part of a multi-part documentary was released by the BBC. It's known as India, the Modi Question. It is being released on BBC 2. Now, incidentally, this particular documentary, the first part, Kritzween, has been banned, has been blocked on YouTube at least twice. Now the MEA has reacted to it, calling out the motivation of this particular documentary. What is this documentary about? This documentary, and let me bring in my colleague Siddharth Talia as well, even as we are going to break the MEA's first response on it, what is this documentary about? Let me first tell our viewers, the MEA has said that it is propaganda, discredited mindset, there is no objectivity, and it pushes a narrative. This has not been screened. It is betraying a colonial mindset. We wonder if it is on purpose. We don't have to dignify such efforts. It has no objectivity and shows what kind of people they are. Now, to put it in context, you have watched the entire first part. What exactly is this documentary about?
So, Padmaja, this documentary was actually supposed to be released as part of a multi-series kind of a take examining Prime Minister Narendra Modi's relationship with the Muslim community. We did speak to one of the participants in the documentary as well, and we'll of course broadcast the interview in a short while from now, where he also spoke to us about this being part of a series of shows that the BBC is going to produce on India's 75 years of independence as well. So during this in-depth examination of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his equation with India's largest minority community, which is that of the Muslims, the first episode is entirely centered around what happened in 2002. Subsequently, of course, themes such as the Citizenship Amendment Act, which was passed in 2019, and the virtual abrogation of Article 370 that took place on the 5th of August 2019 will also be explored. But the first installment in this multi-series is entirely about 2002 and what happened during the Godhra and the post-Godhra riots.
Absolutely, and in fact, this is a big exclusive on Times Now. Over the next few hours, we will get you a series of breaking exclusives. The first exclusive that we have is the protests that are being carried out by the Indian diaspora in the UK, who have called out, it's not just the MEA right now, which has questioned the intent of this documentary, but the Indian diaspora has also protested in London. Let's get Manu Khujuria and Adit Kapadia on the line, for more on why those protests happened. But now you've got the first official response from the Indian government. Also remember that a large number of diaspora has been questioning Siddharth, that this documentary comes after the Supreme Court has laid the matter to rest for all practical purposes, specific to the involvement of Mr. Modi.
Absolutely. Padmaja, there's absolutely no denying the fact that the Supreme Court came out with a scathing judgment, in fact, questioning the motivations of the likes of Teesta Setalvad, RB Srikumar, as well as Sanjeev Bhatt in their attempts to prosecute Mr. Modi and imply a direct involvement on his part in what happened during the 2002 Gujarat riots. Mr. Modi has been exonerated by the courts, by the SIT, in fact, that have been constituted by the courts. Now, the documentary does dwell into that, but the accusation against the documentary is that there's a very perfunctory role in trying to balance out the narrative. It arrives at a certain pre-decided conclusion about Mr. Modi's involvement. That's the claim.
In fact,